Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, James.
And good morning, everybody. So, Anne, this is our 13th podcast episode.
Wow.
I know. Unlucky for some, but I actually quite like the number 13. So I have a feeling that this is going to be a great podcast episode. They're all great, but I think that this one's going to be a really good conversation. I certainly hope so. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. So we don't have a particular plan or script, as always. We are just going to see where it goes. Are you happy?
Very happy.
To begin?
Yes.
Okay, Anne, off we go.
It's funny what you've just said about 13. Many people are superstitious about 13.
Yes.
And when I was having my second child,
Yes.
as I was leaving, I was working with my parents. They had a chip shop. And I went into labour at 6 o'clock in the morning, but my dad wasn't in the shop, so I didn't tell my mother.
Yes.
I went to the shop and still cooked fish and chips. And said to her, I'm going to have to leave. So she said, why are you leaving? So I said, because I've been in labour since 6 o'clock this morning. I need to go to the hospital now. And she said to me, Anne, it's Friday the 13th. You can't have your baby today.
Okay, I do feel that that's fascinating,
Yeah.
but you did say something that I feel we should walk back on slightly.
Right.
You were in labour
Yes.
and you went to work in the fish and chip shop and started putting the fish and chips on.
Yes.
That is very you. For anybody that knows you, anybody that knows Anne, that is very Anne.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she said, so she had to get a taxi because the chip shop was still open, and I had my daughter, my elder daughter, was also there, running around. But she said Friday the 13th. So I was determined, you can't. So I always thought, well, what am I going to do? I've got to have this baby regardless. Anyway, she was born on Friday the 13th.
Yes.
And she did have something wrong with her.
Okay.
But for me, that's one of the luckiest days of my life.
Yes.
To have her, to have this soul on this earth with me.
Yes.
So I always look at Friday the 13th, or any number 13, as like you've just said, as being a very lucky one.
I do too, to be honest with you. We in this culture have a superstition around 13, but in other parts of the world, 13 is considered a fortunate number.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Maybe a blessing. I don't know a lot about it specifically, but I do know, depending upon which culture and different parts of the world, different numbers are symbolic.
Yes.
And totems of different types of fortune. So that's interesting. So yes, let's commit to that this is a positive, lucky number 13.
Yes, good.
Okay.
So last night we had a quiz night.
We did.
As part of Strive for Truth, we run quiz nights. And it was Darcy's birthday, and she was 9.
Yes.
And she came and she didn't know she was going to have a birthday cake.
Yes.
But she was absolutely full of joy that it was her birthday. And she wished to spend her birthday evening at the quiz. Now, I find that pretty wonderful that a 9-year-old child would wish for her birthday to be celebrated at a quiz with people of all ages, from 92
Yes.
down to her age.
I know. It was wonderful. So we had a community quiz.
Yes.
And we must have had about 35 people. I don't know, 30 people, I think.
Yes.
And you're right, it was all ages. So we had young children, the youngest being the birthday girl, Darcy, who turned 9 years old on that day, and various teenagers all the way up to somebody who was in their 90s, and everybody laughing together. We had food, good humour, good spirits, people.
Good quiz.
Yeah, well, hopefully a good quiz. It felt like a great quiz as far as I'm concerned, and there was a lot of joy, togetherness, community.
Yes.
And what I love about it is that people of different generations outside of their own families are mixing together, talking to each other on an everyday level and learning about each other in a simple way, but learning about people who are different to themselves in subtle ways and sometimes in more obvious ways, but true community in the spirit of goodness, sharing an experience simply but profoundly. And
laughing at each other.
Absolutely,
Laughing
absolutely, yeah.
laughing really at lack of knowledge.
well,
Most of us
to be
with
honest,
each other.
it was a tough quiz. It was a tough quiz. So, as Macy said, too much geography and history, which,
Yes.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was quite a knowledge dense quiz.
Yes.
So there you go. But everybody did really well, and it was a very, very enjoyable evening.
And Macy came today to do another session with baking.
So Macy's a teenager
Yes.
who has shown a particular keen interest in learning how to bake.
Yes.
And Anne, being a brilliant baker, has said that she will teach Macy some basics so that Macy at home can start to explore her own baking talent, basically, and has been coming to learn the basics. Well, today wasn't that basic, really, because
No, it
the
wasn't.
two of you baked a cake, baked some flapjacks, and also some scones as well. And I have to say, I've tried the scones and the flapjacks, and they were absolutely delicious.
Yes.
Genuinely delicious as well. I am biased, but they were absolutely delicious. So well done, Macy. Great job. Brilliant.
And it also gives me time to spend with a 14-year-old and listen to her views on things, because we don't get that opportunity very often.
No.
And we were talking, first of all, we were talking about writing, because she can illustrate things. She's a beautiful illustrator, but she's also got a fantastic imagination, always has had, because we've known Macy for a long time.
Yes.
And today I was talking about writing, and I was talking about joined up writing,
Yes.
and asking her, did they still do it at school? And she was saying yes, they still do it in her class, this writing. And then she got on to imagination.
Okay.
And she was saying, and I was saying, you're losing imagination now because you use too many computers and you've got to have imagination. And she was saying, well, why do we need imagination? And I said, because without imagination, we'll go backwards.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because I don't think people understand that if we don't have imagination, how can anything be developed in this life?
Yes.
How can we invent anything if there isn't imagination? Just working with computers alone, do you think that we will go backward in that way? Of creation. Creation itself is imagination.
Everything would be extremely limited, and it would be narrowed down in our types of experience, because we would be technologicalizing our experiences more and more until technology integrates itself with the physical vessel, and there would be no distinguishment between where machine and man begins and ends. So with imagination, it's the facet of consciousness that transcends our physical world. It transcends the physical universe. It transcends any description or meaning, to be honest with you, as does consciousness and words that touch upon such concepts and subjects like these. So imagination is what creates. Imagination is the creative force. Imagination is where all ideas are born. Every single thing around us, every single song, every single book, every invention existed first as an idea of an idea of an idea of an idea of an idea in the spark of imagination. And what's beautiful about imagination is it's all woven together as a tapestry. So every idea, every thought, every spark is connected to another thought and spark. So there is an interconnectedness, like a hive, this field of energy that has no beginning, has no end, cannot be created, cannot be destroyed, is all-knowing in its capacity to touch everything, is within everything yet can distinguish itself from everything within its creation. This field of imagination is the life force. It is as it is.
So I was talking to her about reading, because she used to be an avid reader.
Yes.
And I was saying that in a book, or when I'm an avid reader.
Yes.
But when I'm reading a book, the place I'm in that book, the room is my room in my head.
Yes.
So and the person is the person that I perceive it to be from the words I'm reading. So if I go to see a film of that book,
Yes.
quite often I'm disappointed.
Because it isn't as you imagined.
Exactly. Nor is the person as I imagined.
No.
So,
Nothing ever is, though, is it?
no, I don't suppose it is.
And I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's bad.
No.
We all have the experience of either booking something, preparing to go somewhere, whether it be a hotel, a holiday, to go to a particular location, and we see it first in pictures, or we hear about it from somebody else, or we have our own hopes and aspirations as to what it may be, what it will look like, what it will feel like. And nothing, no one, nowhere is what we literally think it was going to be. Sometimes it can exceed our expectations, sometimes we can be disappointed, but nothing is as literal as we imagined it to be.
So is it attitude? Does that come into it? So are we disappointed by our attitude towards life?
Yes,
That's what I'm
because
saying.
I suggest that it's not the outward reality that's fundamentally important. When we're imagining, we attach our imagination to a feeling, a sensation, an attitude, which isn't easily singular as a particular feeling. It's often a plethora of feelings all woven together, this dance, this concoction, this wonderful firework of feelings that is going off in any particular moment. And when we experience life, if the feelings inside of ourselves and if our attitude to the world around us isn't in alignment, isn't the same as what we felt like that we would feel, which I know is a bit of a mind twist, we get disappointed. We internally have recognized the external as the reality, but it's not, it's what's inside. Our imagination is inside and it creates outside as we see, but it's what's inside that is the truth. So, everything that's of meaning exists inside of everybody.
So your attitude to even what you think is going to be will have an effect.
Yes, absolutely. So you can...
Your nature maybe,
absolutely.
Not only attitude, nature.
Yes, so in a sense, it's the decision, and this is oversimplified, but it's the decision that you are going to enjoy yourself. If you're going to a particular location, holiday, destination, restaurant, whatever it might be. It's not, I hope it's going to be enjoyable. I hope it's going to be what I expect. I hope they've got this. I hope it doesn't rain.
Right.
All perfectly understandable, but in a sense, back to front. If we make a decision first and foremost that we are going to enjoy ourselves, then no matter what is outwardly presented, we've already decided we're going to make the best of it, in the sense we're going to find enjoyment in it. So even if it's teeming down with rain, we've accepted that whatever the outward external environment is, inwardly we're going to enjoy ourselves. Everybody in life, including you and I, we often get it back to front and we wait to see what's happening outside of ourselves to decide what we're inwardly going to feel. And that, for want of a better way of putting it, is back to front. It's the horse before the cart. And I feel that life has been forgotten in that way. We can get back to having a feeling-centred, and I mean genuinely feeling-centred, attitude to life that then will shape our external world. But we will find appreciation for everything in our world, even that which we don't like, which is paradoxical, but even that which we don't like, in a sense, we can like. And I know, again, that is confusing, and I do understand that because it's an oxymoron. But everything in life has the opportunity to deepen our experience, to give us meaning. And if we decide that life is meaningful, then how can we, with 100% disdain, 100% dislike, 100% look at anything as completely and utterly wrong, as in so much as we don't like it? We can say that we don't like an experience, but there's still a part of it that's shining a light on what we do like, what we do appreciate. It's providing a necessary purpose for the tapestry of life and the dichotomy of life and the polarity of life to manifest.
Yeah, so it's like Macy today saying...
I hope that's not too complicated, because in a way I lost myself halfway
Yeah.
through with that one, to be honest with you. A little bit of a word salad, but there we go.
So it's a little bit like today when I was making the scones and the flapjacks and things with Macy, and you said to her, oh no, I had toast, that's what she was doing. We were having toast before we started. And you said, do you want jam on your toast? And she said, I don't like jam.
Yes.
And you asked, and you said to her, have you tried jam? And she went, no, but she doesn't like jam. So we can put thoughts into our own heads.
Yes.
Before we even tasted something.
Yes.
That we don't like.
Yes. And that's where it gets confusing.
It is confusing.
It is confusing. We often wince before it hurts as well. So in a sense, our mind is programmed, which is interesting because sometimes we bang ourselves and go, ouch. And then 2 seconds later, somebody says, are you all right? And we say, oh, it's okay, it doesn't hurt. But we've already gone, ouch, ouch, ouch. But sometimes it really does hurt.
Yes.
So in a sense, a percentage of our life experience, we are predetermining it based on what we've experienced before. So we're not coming to it fresh. If we came to it fresh, we would find that what we think isn't necessarily what we think. But it would also sift out the wheat from the chaff, because what we are sure about can be confirmed as well. So it's not a case of absolutely everything has to change. If there's something that we know and we truly know it, it will be confirmed again. We will find a certainty still. It will deepen our certainty. But experiences that we think we like, that we think we want, on deeper reflection with fresh eyes, we might and often do say, actually, I'm not sure this is for me. And if I'm honest, I'm not sure it was ever for me. I mean, how many people will have that relationship with friends, with food, with alcohol, with certain activities on the earth? If people are honest, a lot of people, upon reflection, deeper reflection, if they're honest with themselves, will say, this isn't really for me, or this situation isn't really for me. And if I'm honest, it never really was.
But it's the courage to say, again, attitude, isn't it? It's the courage to say no in the first place.
Yes.
I think what's happened is we're becoming a generation of fitting in. People fit in with everybody else these days.
Yes.
It's not, we don't stand in our own truth. We feel we have to go with the crowd. And it didn't used to be like that, as much as that. It's more like that now than it used to be. People don't, I think, is it an example? Is it the example set by parents sometimes?
Is that what you feel?
I feel that, to me, parenting's very, very important. So like you were saying before,
yes,
if you bang your toe, you've either got somebody who comes, picks you up and says, oh, poor you, oh, isn't it awful? Or you've got somebody who comes up and says, look what you've done, have you broken the pavement? You're all right, you're fine.
Yes.
And that becomes the attitude of yourself throughout your life.
Yes.
So I had very, very tough parents.
Yes.
And not tough without reason. I mean, my mother was, suffered with problems with her chest from having my brother, and she couldn't breathe in or out.
Yes.
But never once did she have a day off work, and never once did I hear her moaning about it. So if I've lived with that example, how can I not follow it? I think it is examples in life. Are we losing people? Are we losing elderly people that we're not listening? Are we not listening at the moment to people?
There are very few examples now that are tangibly obvious. I hope people listening have got lots of people in your life that you can turn to as a positive role model in all facets of life.
Yes.
And I trust that there are. But you're right, it seems like generally there aren't that many positive role models, and particularly in the context that you've put it in, the older generation with the life wisdom, the life stories are getting thin on the ground. and the ones that are here are not being listened to, and maybe don't feel like they have a voice anymore because nobody's asking them. So we've gone from the greatest generation to the forgotten generation to the end in a matter of 70, 80 years. It's quite alarming in that context that the height of adversity in the world has led to initially life getting a lot better for the vast majority of people, and then the wheels coming off. And that's where we are. And when I say the wheels coming off, that's, I suppose, metaphoric for how life seems to be for a lot of people, that the wheels are coming off and it's moving at high speed, and people don't know how to direct it, stop it, or what to do about it. So in a sense, they're either ignoring it or trying to jump off. And both of those make sense. But the level of courage, the level of wisdom, the level of what used to be stoic, calm, assured pattern of life, that we can take it in our stride and we will make the best of it, has gone. And it has been replaced with a superficial, transactional, moaning, self-absorbed, self-obsessed, vain, money-obsessed society that is praising and worshipping technology at an ever-increasing pace. Money is becoming more and more siphoned off, and the discrepancy between the wealthiest and the rest of the world is becoming just starker and starker every single day. I mean, it's accelerating at such a rate.
Is that because of Is that also because of isolation? People, everybody is isolating themselves, aren't they? Even to, and I don't understand anybody's circumstances. I only understand my own circumstances. But online shopping of food, to me, means that you don't go to a supermarket and you don't actually feel the food.
Yes.
You don't see whether the carrots are fresh. And neither are you talking to somebody next to you. So are we self-isolating as well?
Yes. Yes, I think you're right.
And is that just for ease?
Yes, I think so. I think it's
becoming
short-term convenience, but long-term catastrophe. A breakdown of the human community is where this is heading, unless we get back to each other. And I know that is alarming as a particular way of framing it, but it is that alarming. If the trend continues over the next 5, 10, 15 years, 20, 25 max, it will erode human community. And before we know it, we won't have a human community. Society will have ended, and there will just be individuals. Serving who? Serving what? And to what end? Maybe you all listening, that is not a concern to you, and maybe it shouldn't be, but to anybody with a conscience, to anybody with any joined up thinking, and anybody that values each and every human being, every single child, it is of concern. Because what is life about? And surely there's more than just the physical world. I'm not here, and I'm sure you're the same, we're not here to tell anybody what to do. No. We're having a conversation, and I suppose it's turned deep. Yes. And philosophical, spiritual, in terms of meaning and faith and yes. Purpose and life. But rightly so, in a sense, because isn't that what life is? If we take it to its open door, if we look beyond our physical lives and we explore our deepest, most profound experiences, isn't it our human connection to the world around us, to ourselves, to our family, to our friends, to each other, to the children, to the stars, to the sun, to the entire cosmos? Isn't it the wonder and the awe and how we are moved to tears and we are moved to laughter, and the love that we hold for each other, and the love that we hold for those that have passed, and the love that we hold for the children to come? Isn't that but the opening on just the tip of the iceberg of what meaning could potentially be and what life could potentially be about? We can never capture it in words, but we certainly can feel the depth of it, the power of it, the majesty of it. Yeah. And that is worth not only protecting, it is to thrive.
Yes.
The human community, the human spirit is to thrive.
And yes, and to finish off with it really is that something that Macy said to me
Yes.
while we were sat waiting for the cake to cool, and she was talking, and I said to her, asking her what she found interesting and how she found a difference in as a teenager, and she was saying that even her, when she was little, she used to go down the shops and there would be a toy shop. This is a 14-year-old.
Yes.
And she'd look in the windows of the toy shop, and then there'd be another shop on the road to where she lived, another shop. And she said, and now if we walk down there, they're all fancy restaurants.
Yes.
They're not ordinary restaurants. What she was trying to say was, she didn't quite know how to say it, but there wasn't an ordinary cafe
Yes.
that everybody walks into. And then her, not me, she then said, and it's like Christmas trees, which I thought very interesting. She said, like Christmas trees. And this is her words, not mine, why does the Christmas tree has to be aesthetically suitable for your house, and why should it be grey when a Christmas tree is not green? And why isn't a Christmas tree dressed up like children think it should be?
You mean
a
Christmas tree isn't grey, it's green?
It's green.
So
a proper Christmas tree.
Why have people got grey Christmas trees?
Why have they got grey Christmas trees?
Or silver Christmas
trees? Or silver
tree,
ones. Yeah. And why are they dressing them up aesthetically for the house and not for the children?
Oh, that's interesting.
And I found that very interesting that she'd even noticed something, because I hadn't thought about that, to be honest.
I haven't thought about that.
But in a child's eyes, when they come down, when they see the tree,
yes,
and it's not Father Christmas's tree, is it?
No. Well, it's interesting. It is interesting.
Yeah. So sometimes.
So it's moved away again. It's taken that one step too far for Macy.
As you've just been saying.
Away from something authentic, connected to a feeling
yes.
of meaning and value, to something that's based upon the aesthetics, how it looks, and whether it fits the mood and the atmosphere and the concept of the Christmas room
yes.
and all of that. People are too concerned with the outward appearance of things rather than the inward value.
Yeah, and then take it to ourselves.
Yes.
Are we more concerned on how we look outwardly than how we're feeling inwardly about somebody?
Yes.
So it's interesting the way conversation turns, isn't it? From
yes.
one little thing to another. And as you say, we don't know what we're going to talk about.
No, we don't. Well, we've gone quite heavy this morning in a meaningful way. And I hope
yes.
you all listening have appreciated that. I hope so. And thank you for tuning in. Mm-hmm. This is not about telling anybody what to think. We are organically having a conversation, and hopefully we've made you think, made you reflect, and you may not agree with what we've said. Hopefully you've agreed with some of it, but even if not, hold fast to what you feel. And if you feel, wonderful, because as a human race, if we can feel, if we can think, if we can interact, and if we ignite imagination, then we have value. And the human race does have value. Every single child has value. And faith in that is important. Whatever and whoever you call your faith for, faith in love, faith in life, faith in there being more, is something so deeply moving, so deeply personal, and yet we can still share it together. So let us be honourable and respectful to each other, but recognise that we do share something of true meaning, whatever it be called, whatever and whomever that may be for you, that there is something in life. Life itself is truly of meaning. It is the meaning. And everybody listening, everybody is a part of that. And isn't that truly magnificent? So I hope with every fibre of my being that the pessimism and the difficulties of life, people can find a reason to hold their head up high, to find a reason to smile, the strength to face this world in goodness. And goodness can prevail. We need only know it so. It's true. It really is true.
So we all change our attitude.
Yes.
Now. That is the thing. We go back to how we started.
Yes, to be born again in attitude.
Yes.
To turn towards life and say, yes, yes, we can.
Or no, you can't.
Or no, you can't. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So be it. Well, there we go, Anna.
Yeah.
That is the end of our podcast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend or a lovely week whenever it is that you are listening. And as always, we look forward to being with you, to speaking with you again next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.